So last week, what a week it was for the S&P 500 bulls, taking over full control with a beautiful V-shaped recovery. I should not be surprised considering the trend that has been set time and time again in this market. Absolute resiliency, V-shaped recovery back to all-time highs, any rug pull, double bottoming, higher low, and getting bought right back up. And this tiny little pullback here that we saw last week, pretty much a non-factor. 100% of the move plus has been regained by the bulls. So just an overall tremendous amount of resiliency and strength in the market overall. So let's dive right into things. S&P, actually SPY, should say, still ranging in this channel here. As you can see, we are at the upper part of the channel, so the bulls have to break their new high, Friday's high of 388.47 to see continuation, and then we are running smack dead into that upper trend line. And the bulls ultimately need to defend 368.27, bottom pivot down here. Now, we have made a tremendous impulse wave, like I said, making 100% plus V-shaped recovery from the dump. So any pullback from here, the most likely outcome is the bulls buying that dip too. And we might see more continuation up into the 400s. I know that's a pretty bold prediction from where I was 7 days ago, considering how bearish I was just with the market euphoria. But, I mean, until proven otherwise, I'm a full bull. This V-shaped recovery is very impressive, and the amount of space carved out from the bulls suggests, like I said, higher low is most likely outcome. So let's zoom in on the hourly chart and see what we're talking about here. So, as I mentioned in my previous video, we were in that hourly downtrend and V-shaped right out of it. So we see a strong impulse wave here, a brief pullback to 380.48, and now a new impulse wave higher. So this brief pullback here is pretty impressive, considering that we were in an hourly downtrend. This is all that needed to set in order for the bulls to change the trend. It just goes to show you how strong the market is if you have any trouble believing me now. Now, ultimately, the hourly bulls want to hold that 380.48 level. Once we break that, then we confirm daily consolidation. So now, once we lose that 380.48 level, that's when you'll see the daily bulls start losing some strength. Bears take over in the interim. We might see a higher low on the daily chart. But like I said, look for that dip to be bought. DXY bulls finally getting exhausted after seeing uninspired follow through from that 90.95 break, 91 break. So I was seeing a bit of pullback. New high that the bulls need to break is 91.6. Finally, we see the correlation return back to normalcy as SPY continues moving higher while the dollar pulls back. They were moving in unison this week, which just goes to show you again the strength of the market bulls, just disregarding the fact that the dollar had a beautiful technical breakout, and the dollar bulls losing all steam in light of that. So ultimately, the dollar bulls need to defend 90.05. If they lose that level, that's even better for the asset. So look for this level to come into play. The bulls have carved out enough space where the most likely outcome would be a higher low from here, and then possibly continuation out. But we'll have to see what happens. If the markets continue to rip like they are, the dollar will just continue to fade. QQQ showing some strength as well, in light of the fact that a lot of the major sectors in this sector, a lot of the major names in this sector, are having some rough bounces. We can look at Apple, for instance, a lot of bear flags out there. We see a steep decline, and now we are in a complete bear flag. AMZN having some issues too, just kind of grinding along higher. We are technically still in an uptrend, so look for the pivot high here of 3,434 even to break. Facebook, similar idea. Strong impulse, deep pullback, small bounce. Looking a little bit bear flaggy. MSFT having some continuation over this pennant breakout after a strong earnings, but definitely looking for more strength. So it's a little bit weird to see QQQ doing so well considering the big names are sluggish. But nonetheless, bulls have a new all-time high, 332.40, and ultimately need to defend 312.76. Bulls have carved out enough space, so any pullback from here is likely to be bought up, similar to SPY. Zooming in on the hourly chart, it's the exact same thing. Hourly downtrend, impulse wave, V-shaped recovery, very brief pullback to 326.32, and another impulse wave higher. So bulls did not need much to change the trend. Just again, goes to show you the strength. But if we lose that 326.32 level, look for daily consolidation to begin. IWM showing us that sector strength. Strong impulse wave, nice pullback around the 382.50 Fibonacci, strong impulse wave to the upside. We can derive targets. I haven't really done this too much in the markets, but we can derive targets. So we have that pullback right to the 50. We are looking for that 224 to 234 range on IWM, but very clear price action, very nice impulse wave higher. And that was the most likely outcome. We had a strong impulse wave here. All we were looking for was a brief correction and continuation higher. So the bulls ultimately needed to break Friday's high of 221.84, defend the low of 204.84, right around that 205 psychological. RSI is looking okay. On QQQ, RSI is looking great. SPY looking great. So the bulls are very healthy here. There's no overextension in terms of the indicators. Maybe a little bit from price action, but like theoretically, we've been overextended for weeks. So that price action overextension does not matter very much. Looking in on the hourly chart, we can see that decline of price value, strong impulse, brief pullback, and bulls all day. So right now, the main pivot low on the hourly chart is 211.59. We could call some 15-minute lows in here, right around that 217, 218 range. If we lose that, we might see hourly consolidation. If we lose the hourly uptrend, then we will see daily consolidation. But overall, bulls looking very healthy. Any pullback from here likely be bought up before that 205 range, as we have carved out enough space. SMH. So most likely outcome from here, we had the strong impulse wave pulling back to the breakout area, this consolidation. And now we are seeing a lower high start to form. So that is a decent pullback down to 224.93. So the most likely outcome would have been a lower high compared to 246.79. Ultimately, those are the two levels that the bulls need to break. We will look for this to tighten up in an equilibrium. But overall, the bulls looking in full control. So we had a steep downtrend, big gap down, and then we saw oversold conditions. We saw a bounce, lower high, higher low, and impulse out of this mess of price action. Shouldn't say a mess, it's quite clear, but out of this downtrending price action. So the hourly bulls ultimately need to hold to 32.34, making a little bit of an equilibrium on the hourly chart here. So we'll look for this to break to the upside, look for that last pivot in the consolidation before entering. But ultimately, if we lose to 32.34, then the daily consolidation is set. We have made a lower high on the hourly, so we have a strong impulse up, brief pullback, and now we are looking a little bit flaggish. So nothing bad for the bulls. A little bit of a bull flag here. Look for that to break to the upside. But again, I am only looking for a lower high compared to that 246.79 pivot. We can zoom in on NVDA, showing some more uninspired price action here. Once this consolidation breaks, it will break very decisively, in my opinion. But for now, we just get CHOP, AMD, kind of just uninspired as well. A lot of uninspired names, despite the sectors doing so well. But ultimately, SMH looking for that CHOP to continue. TAN, still in this channel here. Ultimately, bulls need to defend 106.81 and break 25.98. So we had strong impulse wave from this pivot on December 29th. Nice pullback, higher high without any follow through, lower low by 7 cents. So we are probably going to see a lower high compared to 25.98. If we can get a higher low on the daily chart, that would be the best case scenario for the bulls to set that bullish sentiment. As you can see, we had a bit of a divergence play here on the hourly chart, lower lows, lower highs, and continuing lower lows, but the RSI started diverging here, so we got a strong impulse wave to the upside. Bulls corrected, and now we want to see more continuation up. So ultimately, hourly bulls need to defend that 114 psychological level. We could call 113.40 as the bottom pivot there, and if they break 117.34, then that hourly continuation to the upside will ensue. And we will look to scout that lower high compared to the 125.98 level. So you could top fish that, set some shorts right around the 125 psychological, and hope for the best. But These bulls are strong. It's never a good idea to fight the trend. XLV, so trying a base here. Had a strong impulse wave, steep pullback right around to the 50 psychological or 50 Fibonacci level, and retesting the breakout area here. So everything's healthy. However, we do see a huge uptick in volume from that gap down. A lot of bulls got scared out once this bull flag failed to see any continuation. So looking in on the hourly chart here, what do we see? An equilibrium. So we have this nice triangle pattern here, price range bound, looking for a break. I wouldn't say this is a bearish equilibrium. It does, on the 4 hour, it's kind of convincing. I don't think this is a steep enough drop for me to really feel comfortable with calling this a bear pennant. Not used to saying that. Normally it's a bull pennant. So it's not a steep enough drop for me to say that with decisiveness that it's a bear pennant. We do see this uptick in bear volume down here, but overall, given the market environment and the fact that it is just retesting this breakout zone, making a daily higher low. Technically, we could call that 115.83 level a daily higher low, but that was very brief consolidation. This is more defined price action. We can zoom in or zoom out on the 2-day chart just to get a little bit more clarity. So we have that 109.37 pivot up to the 118.99, and now we're just making a higher low. So things are okay on the 2-day chart, which is why I'm leaning more towards this is just being a bullish consolidation right above a previous breakout zone. So wait for that decisive move in either direction to prove the sentiment. But for right now, XLV is just holding on, a little bit weak, but holding on. XLF showing some impressive strength. And remember last video I was talking about what the chart guys talk about, which was that QQQ and XLV have inverse correlations. So when money's strong into tech, obviously QQQ is buzzing, and XLF pulls back, consolidates, and then once QQQ needs a rest, then XLF bulls see that continuation. So the correlation, the rotation that we see is very, very healthy for the markets. That's what keeps it perpetuating forwards, upwards. So what we're seeing right now is both XLF and QQQ moving in unison. So it's bulls full steam ahead. So we have that strong impulse wave, very steep pullback. Now we got a solid bounce. Most likely outcome is a lower high compared to 31.62. Then we'll see an equilibrium form. So a higher low compared to 28.83 would be ideal. And then a break to the upside is exactly what the bulls want to see. Zooming in on the hourly chart, very clear price action here. We were in a very apparent hourly downtrend, not getting any bounce. Very oversold hourly RSI. We saw a nice bounce, lower high, and we saw a lower low, but with that divergence and a strong impulse wave to the upside, brief pullback, and it's all bulls from now. So since we haven't really set any hourly pivots here, we could call these 15-minute pivots of about 30.70. We break that, we'll set hourly consolidation. The most likely outcome from there would be rollover, break through that 29.94 pivot. Hopefully we can make a higher low compared to 28.83, and then see that equilibrium pan out a little bit more. But XLF showing some strength. And XBI, strongest sector in the markets right now, buzzing higher over and over. A lot of bullishness in the biotech sector. So ultimately, bulls need to defend 148.81, making new making new highs every day, almost every day, every week at least. New pivot high is Friday's high of 167.51. So we are approaching that 170 psychological level. 175 would ensue afterwards. So look for a little bit of profit taking. RSI is just getting overbought right now, but RSI means very little in these extremely bullish environments. So do not be surprised, like over here, right? We were hanging well above 70 for weeks, almost the entire month of December. 3 weeks of December. So yeah, the fact that we're just getting oversold now in this most recent impulse wave higher is very telling that bulls are in full control. Look for that 170, 175 psychological level on the hourly chart. Very clear price action here. Strong impulse wave up. 160.56 is the level that the hourly bulls need to defend. If we break that level, if the bears break that level, then look for daily consolidation. But full steam ahead right now for the bulls. Very impressive overall. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have yourselves a great rest of the weekend, and I will talk to you later.